Hey everybody, I know it's only been a couple days since I showed you when I first put this compost pile together, but it's actually sitting here on day 14. That's just because when we were down and out of a computer I was still shooting video, and as soon as we had the computer back, that was the first video I posted, but it's actually a couple weeks old. So here we are today, going to turn the compost pile on day 14, and I can tell you there's already some changes that have been made. Perhaps the first thing you'll notice when I pull the cover off of this is that I've given up on the wire mesh. I think it's a method that I would use if I was cold composting, where the first time I ever had to deal with the wire again, I'd already have fine compost. But in this setup, I'm having to try to pull it off while I still have a lot of brown material in there, such as the straw, and it really just didn't hold up. Now that could be because of the wire. Maybe I need a better strength wire or just a better design for the cage. But whatever it was, I decided that now that I used the cage to understand the volume that I need, I'm probably going to be happier just doing these piles. So you'll notice that the only wire I'm using anymore is to just help keep the tarp up off of the compost pile. So no more wire. Another problem that I've had is that the compost pile never got up to the temperature it was supposed to. And I think that's because the goat manure that I was able to source is already fairly well composted. You can see that there's very little pellets left. It's already broken apart a good bit. And I think because of that, there wasn't the amount of nitrogen in here for it to start breaking down and heating up inside the compost pile. So a couple days ago, when I turned this last, I added a good bit more water and also some blood meal to try to give some real strong nitrogen boost and hopefully turn the temperature back up inside of this compost pile. Because the temperature never really boosted up, I still have a good bit of straw, leaves, and other types of carbon materials that are very visible that I would not expect to see come day 14. So let's go ahead and take the tarp off and see what we've really got. So you can see all the hay that's still in here, and really the big telltale is the ants. I'm not even going to stick my hand in here to test the heat because those are probably fire ants. The thing is that there being ants in here tells me that the temperature is way too low still. So let's go ahead and start to turn this and see if maybe by chance the ants are on the outside of it and not in the core. Maybe the core is heated up and the ants are just interested in the outside layer where it's warm but not too hot. So let's see what we can find. One thing I learned on day number 4, the first time we had to turn this, was how important it was to have the right tool. Before, we only had this 10-tine manure fork, and the problem is everything stuck to it so well that the hay would kind of like weave itself between these tines whenever you stuck it into a pile. And so every turn you were sitting there trying to scrape the hay off. So I went down to the Planter Supply store here locally, and they had this 4-tine pitchfork. It is a hay fork, and it does a whole lot better. That extra room lets your bulky stringy material fall through. So what I've learned is you really need to have the right tool for the right stage of this process. So right now, here's what you're basically going to see. I'm going to go around the outside of the pile with the hay fork because there's still some big stringy material that's going to hold on and allow me to move a lot of material at a time but not clog up my tool. Then you're going to see me turn around and use the manure fork for the finer materials, but there's still going to be a point where the compost will fall right through these tines, at which point I'm going to turn around and use a spade, a regular old shovel. So always worthwhile having the right tool for the job. I'll give you some links to these tools down below in the show more portion of the video description. Another lesson I learned is about having level ground. I tossed this pile over to off camera before and found out that the ground there goes down fairly significantly, which meant it was a real hassle trying to get all of the compost out of there. My compost pile was going down, but not because it was actually shrinking in size, but because I was leaving so much material behind. So, mind your topography. Okay, so you can see from the pile up over in this corner of the screen, I'm about halfway through. I've taken off all of the outside. This is the core that should have heated up. And the best thing I can say is that there's no insects, visible insect life in here, but it is cold. There's no heat to this at all. And now I'm just stuck. Now I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do to get this to heat back up, because I know that on day 14 I shouldn't have this. All of this should have turned into the black stuff. I should reach in here and pull out black dirt on day 14. I shouldn't be pulling out clumps of wet hay. So I know I can just keep turning this and that it will eventually decompose, but I'd rather know the best way to approach this. I made no bones about the fact that this is the first time I've tried hot composting. And while I have seen a change in the product, it hasn't changed like I expected it to. Adding in the blood meal 2 days ago doesn't seem to have affected this. To the best of my recollection, this pile still looks exactly like it did 2 days ago. It doesn't look like any more decomposition has taken place. I still have leaves and everything. So what do? What's your solution to kickstarting this again and getting some more rapid composting done, rather than me now just having to leave this and letting it cold compost the rest of the winter? Let me know what you think. So I really do want to get y'all's opinion on this thing, so I'm trying to think of all the things you might need to know about to give me some help. So, moisture content. Let's see what we can get out of here. My hand is getting damp, but I am not going to be able to squeeze a physical drop out of that. My hand is good and damp, and you can see that that has kept its shape mostly, but it's not wet enough that it's actually dripping. So maybe water's part of the problem. Okay, so I've got the whole pile moved, and I'm trying to think what else I can tell you about. You saw me test the water. It did not drip, it just was damp. You can still see the amount of brown material that is a part of this. I told you about there being ants on the outside but not on the inside, but that the inside was the same temperature as the air outside. So there hasn't been very much noticeable decrease in volume. I'd say there's been a little bit, but not a significant amount. I told you that I've added nitrogen to it. Primary ingredients have been cow manure, some chicken manure, some rabbit manure, some hay, some grass clippings, some leaf clippings, and some wood chips, like inch-by-inch wood chips gone through a residential wood chipper that you might have seen on a past video. There's no smell to it. I'd say it's got an earthy smell, not as earthy as I would expect or want it to have, but it has never had a putrid smell, that anaerobic scent. So really, I'm just not decomposing the carbon as quick as I want to. That's my first take opinion on it. So if you've got some experience with it, please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think might be a way to solve this. I've got a lot of projects going on. Winter's coming in my area. We're about to start getting a lot of rain, and I'd like to try to incorporate this compost into some soil before the rains come. So if you've got any ideas on how I can boost this back up and get it decomposed so I can put it into the ground, let me know what you think. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.